Welcome to Wraithworks. This video is going to be on Warscorp9 parts compatibility. So essentially, from here forward is standard AR9. Keep in mind AR9s are not as standard as AR15s, but it's more or less standard AR9. And then from here back is also standard AR9. The proprietary features are here in the middle and are most related to the magazine. We're going to start out by breaking it down upper and lower. If you want to install this upper onto another lower, you'll probably need to remove the bolt catch, but it should work with most AR9 variants. As far as the lower, the issue you're going to run into is a Scorpion magazine is about the same width as a mil-spec upper. So it's not going to be drop-in, but if you're willing to take a Dremel to it, I have modified mil-spec uppers so that they work with our lower. I've also modified some of our slick side aluminum uppers as well as our polymer uppers. They're a little thicker, so you can just make a clearance inside so you don't have to cut all the way through. Getting into the gun. Starting at the front, we have a half 28 threaded muzzle. This is our muzzle device. Keep in mind with half 28 threads, this is also standard thread pitch for 223, 5.56 muzzle devices, which have a 22 caliber bullet, so make sure that anything you put on here has the proper clearance for 9mm. Our muzzle device we use on both 5.56 and 9mm. It has the proper clearance. The barrel is going to be standard AR9. Keep in mind there are a few different types of feed ramp styles that may affect reliability. Also, if you're using like the TACCOM that has a ramp on the top, you'll need to modify your bolt to work with those. The handguard takes standard barrel nuts, standard handguards, AR15, AR9. The one issue you'll run into is the charging handle folding. If you're using a wide handguard, this will probably not fold down. The other issue could potentially be anti-rotation features. We do have a clearance here for the little wing style ones, but some handguards have other anti-rotation features that may or may not be compatible with our upper. Getting into the upper, we have our proprietary side charging handle. This is our bolt. This is modified from a standard Colt pattern and Glock pattern bolt. It has additional cuts here for the Scorpion magazine. This is a lot wider than the other style magazines. Also, this key up here, so this indexes into the hole in your upper where the gas tube would go on a DI gun. It's not necessary, but we just use that as a little extra feature to help keep the bolt stable because so much material is removed down here. This bolt will drop into other AR9s, but you can't put other AR9 bolts into our gun unless you machine away the clearance for the magazine and then machine this notch to index with the charging handle. Getting into the lower, you have standard takedown pins. You can swap those out. The feed ramp, bolt catch, magazine paddle, and buttons are all proprietary. If you'll buy our build kit, it'll come with those. Trigger group is standard AR15. However, keep in mind the AR9 is a lot more violent system than a typical AR-15. So if you're using anything other than a mil-spec, you want to make sure you're using trigger components that are rated for 9mm and recommended for 9mm direct blowback use. The selector is standard. Our guns come with our selector, which you can swap between short throw and 90-degree throw, different paddles, but you can put most selectors in here. Standard grips, AR-15 grips. Getting to the rear of the gun, you have a mil-spec carbine receiver extension. So this uses carbine length components. It takes mil-spec carbine stocks or braces. Our guns come with a H3 buffer, or some of them come with a steel-bodied buffer that has a 1 tungsten and 2 steel weights that's a little heavier. We also have this spacer. So the purpose of this spacer is just to keep the rear of this bolt key from impacting the filler block. It's not necessary for operation. If you remove it, you'll just get a little cosmetic damage to this block. If you want to install a longer buffer, which some AR9s use, you'll want to remove that or you won't get enough travel for your last round hold open. This takes standard end plates, castle nuts. Going back to the buffer system, if you want to install a longer buffer, you can. Just remove that spacer. The reason most AR9s use either a spacer or an extended buffer is so that the bolt stops just behind the bolt catch and doesn't slam into it. That's a weak point of a standard AR-15 style catch with a 9mm, which uses a lot more weight. Our bolt catch doesn't need that because it's supported all the way to the front. You can install any standard carbine style stocks, mil-spec carbine stocks, braces. If you're trying to reduce your length here and install a modified shorter buffer system, keep in mind you need to maintain a weight of at a minimum 20 ounces between your bolt and your buffer. Our H3 setup is right around 20 ounces, which is about as light as you want to go. There are a few different shortened systems that do have pistol weights, but if you're trying to get really short on this, you're probably not going to be able to pack enough weight in there. So keep that in mind. If you have any other questions, please drop them in the comments, contact our customer support, and as always, check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Rumble. Thanks for watching.